Recently, I was reading a book that I accidentally came across, which really fascinated me. And the name of the book is Never Split the Difference, which is written by Chris Ross. Chris Voss. Apologies, I mispronounced the name. Chris Voss is an experienced hostage negotiators at an international level. He is former FBI agent, and Chris was one of the top negotiators at the international level in the world of CIA, FBI, and he used to be called upon to negotiate in some serious situations in case if there is any hostage situation. And Chris was used to lead negotiations, uh, keep the person who used to be on the other side of the negotiations engaged, and extrapolate as much information as he could, and later on and then come up some deal. And now Chris is also has established his Black Swan group in America, where he conducts uh, negotiations classes for the people who are interested and who are at some important executive positions. So I have not finished the book entirely, but it's still there are some important facets which Chris' book has fascinated me. One of the uh, recommendation from Chris' viewpoint was that I'm sorry, my apologies. I'm still not feeling well. Still trying to recover. So coming back to the point of our discussion, Chris has entirely changed the dynamics of negotiations, and has given some really different negotiation tactics that we should be making a differentiating between the emotion and the person. And what does it mean that a person may have different emotions in different situations and circumstances, but an individual who is totally different, individual who is for instance may be motivated for some uh, whatever reason, later on he might have taken some hostage, and later on he or she might be influenced by a particular reaction or emotion, and we need to keep that in view, that particular emotion, and be more sympathetic and empathetic in our approach, even with the person uh, who is a bad guy. And to deal with that bad guy, we need to be open and honest in our negotiations and offer some solution, but in such a way which should we both the parties should be working in a collaborative manner to come up some possible solution. And then Chris has gone further to discuss some of his uh, case studies in support of his recommendations, which really fascinated me. Some of the suggestions, how he kept the persons engaged, and over time he tried to dig out more and more information through continuous engagement. And there were situations where his tactics played a key role, and the bad guys were made to surrender. That is one of the suggestions that Chris has presented, and later on, there was another suggestion from Chris that whenever there is a no in discussions and negotiations, that does not mean it's a no and total rejection. excuse me, his view is that should be taken as an opportunity rather as well as challenge, and let the person, and we should be attentively listening to that person, and once that person has blurted out its emotions, and some ideas may or some information will come up that will be helping to resolve the crisis, and let the person feel, and the person should be under the impression even that person is a bad guy should be under the influence that he is in control, he is uh, powerful, he is empowered person, so we should let him stay under that influence and under that premise that he is powerful, he is uh, overall in charge of the situations, and these notions will make him more empowered, and then he will be he will start spitting out some of the information, and from those information information can be useful to deal with that crisis like situation. So Chris is being very strategic in his approach in that book. I'm still reading, but I found those two ideas pretty much fascinating. And excuse me, he is holding negotiation classes, and later on he went on to attend Harvard classes, negotiation classes, and also conducts himself classes, and keeping in view his important profile and his suggestions that he tried to prove those tactics that he played out during his role in FBI, and he dealt with some serious crisis like situation. I can totally count on, and or at least will find these suggestions and recommendations really useful. And over time, if I am not sure whether I will be able to internalize those situations. I do not have to deal with situation, but the Chris is of the view that the purpose of those recommendations is that the same situations can be applied even in the business environment. In business environment, we can apply those tactics to achieve desired results, but in such a way where collaborative approach to problem solving can be achieved, and bad guys can also be considering a collaborative approach. However, they will be under the impression that they are overall in charge of the situation. So I find these tips really exciting, useful, and I believe, at least for my knowledge sake, anyone who fancy visiting that Chris book, never splitting the difference, will find it really useful. Go and read that book, guys. That is really important in case you want to develop the art of negotiations, you want to become good with negotiations, human relationship. And another thing that Chris book has fascinated me the most was Chris was of the view that whenever we are conducting any negotiations or any discussions, we need to make sure that it is a sincere attempt. If it's not a sincere attempt, if you'll force people to accept your situation, conditions, and recommendations, they are not going to be long lasting. They will just fall apart automatically. And other side, who are on the other side of the table, they will make excuses that budget is not allowing them, that there are some internal changes, there are some other issues. For that reason, that yes was not working, and he is very right. No matter whoever we are interacting with, but the problem solving approach should always be collaborative. After all, even if the bad guy, as Chris mentions in his book, bad guys are also want a safe exit. If not safe exit, at least safety. Therefore, we need to adopt such collaborative approach in such a way which is leading a best possible solution for both the parties. And we should be sincere, pragmatic, and honest in negotiations. It should not be that we are just tricking, we are deploying some tricks just to get the job done. Then it will not have lasting results. Even let's assume in Chris' situation, if as part of the FBI, if they have succeeded in one or two instances, but later on their reputation will be challenged, and reputation is something that really matters. That you are, whenever you are negotiating, you're trying to be collaborative partner, you should be trustworthy person, so that people are able to count on you, that you will be honoring the decisions, suggestions, agreed upon plan of action, which is really important.